Chad Sayers will also miss the rest of the season. He needs ankle surgery, but Redbacks Vice-Captain Tim Ludeman says they're taking it in their stride.
We won't change too much of our processes. I think it's been working for us, although a few results haven't gone our way. I think we're playing a good style of cricket and a good brand of cricket, so we're pretty happy with the way we're playing.
And British Open champion Cal Nagle has been farewelled overnight following his death last week, aged 94. Fellow Open champion Peter Thompson was one of many golfing luminaries at the funeral. Now, the FiveAA forecast. Mostly sunny today, a top of 31 degrees after a low of 14 this morning. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and 37. Hotter on Saturday with 39 the top. Remaining fine on Sunday, but dropping back to 34. Then temps remaining in the mid to high 30s until mid next week. More news as it happens on FiveAA.
Peter Godfrey on 1395, Adelaide's FiveAA.
Good morning. 13 degrees at the moment. Enjoy it. As Kay just said, we got some warm stuff ahead of us. Got a quick text here before we catch up with Selwyn in New Zealand. Neil just responding to the movie St Vincent I mentioned earlier with when I was talking with Marion, the one that stars Bill Murray. Neil says, yes, well worth watching. He plays his part very well. Quite funny and heartwarming. Indeed it is. It is, yeah. He does a great job. A little bit quirky, but yeah, very heartwarming, particularly towards the end of it. Loved it. Thanks for your text, Neil. Let's go to New Zealand, cross the ditch, see what's happening there. Selwyn Manning from livenews.co.nz. How are you, Selwyn?
Very good, Peter. Thank you very much.
That's the way. How's the weather treating you there? We got scorches coming. How about you?
Yes. It's eased off a little bit. Yesterday we had rain through most of the North Island and patches in the South Island. That's certainly going to make the farmers and those living in the rural areas very happy. A little bit of more scattered rain today and then moving back by the look of it in the later part of the weekend to fine weather once again. So just looking outside, Peter, about 5 minutes ago, it looked like beautiful blue skies, and just in that 5 minutes, we've had, these summer kind of rain clouds have just formed over the city here in Auckland again, but backed by blue sky again. So it looks like it's going to be a very changeable day.
Okay. Spare a thought for us. We've got 37 tomorrow and 39 on Saturday. And then looking ahead, Tuesday, Wednesday, 39 as well. So
and the bushfires, that threat, is that easing?
Oh, well, that's going to bring it all back. WA's been having some pretty serious issues. So whenever we get up the mid to high 30s, that's when everyone gets worried.
Worried, for good reason.
Indeed. On to stuff in your part of the world, New Zealand inching towards a significant commitment to the US and UK-led offensive against the Islamic State.
Yes, that's right. Now, this week, Peter, Britain's Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond, he met with New Zealand's Prime Minister John Key in Wellington. That meeting was on the back of a similar meeting he'd had in Australia, where Britain began formalising Australia and New Zealand governments' commitment to this looming fight against ISIS up there in Iraq and in Syria. Now, New Zealand, it's been asked to contribute a minimum of around 100 military personnel to this Iraq-based mission that would be in that training space, supposedly. But in reality, what it appears is that New Zealand has been asked to increase that commitment up to at least 400 military personnel in a joint training contingent with Australia. Now, at this stage, the New Zealand government understands that Australia's commitment is no more than 1,000 personnel, but preferably around the 600 that is up there apparently right now. Now, John Key, yesterday, Peter, he told reporters here in New Zealand that no firm request and commitment had been agreed to by New Zealand, but Britain's Foreign Secretary on the back of that, in a press conference with media, with John Key standing there, or his foreign minister, our foreign minister, I should say, Murray McCulley. Now, the British Foreign Secretary indicated that his government, meaning the British government's expectation, is that New Zealand would make a significant contribution based on cited numbers. So there's a bit of an anomaly there. It seemed like the British were saying, well, the deal's done. New Zealand is trying to string that out until next week. And it seems like the problem for John Key is that trying to catch up with what he's agreed to behind closed doors to what he is saying he's agreed to in public, and they're trying to actually jostle their way around that. But it gives you the indication of the nature of such things. But Hammond, being specific, this is the British Foreign Secretary, Philip Hammond, he told the New Zealand Herald newspaper here in Auckland yesterday that, and quote here, don't underestimate the importance of New Zealand's contribution. He said that Australia had already around 600 people up in Iraq. He reiterated that another 400 defence personnel would be required, and stated that Australia government is, and here's the British Foreign Secretary's quote here, desperately keen for a contribution to that 400 that is coming from New Zealand, so that it's a joint effort keeping the overall Australian contingent below the magic 1,000 number and showing a joint effort approach. So you can see it's a bit jumbled, that end of the direct quote. It's a bit jumbled, but what he's basically saying is Australia's got 600 up there now, that the coalition forces will need at least 1,000 very quickly up there to help train the fighting forces, supposedly, of Iraq and other regional countries. That Australia wants New Zealand to up its numbers from 1,000 to 400 to meet that 1,000. Then it gives Australia a little bit of room to play, and it'll be clearly an Australian-New Zealand training contingent there. The problem being is that our politicians are basically looking like they're at sea. It looks like the decisions are being made by other countries. By others being told what to do. Is floating around. Now, it's not just not a good look. It's also creating a certain degree of head scratching, if you want to put it in colloquial terms, amongst the population here. That I'm sure, like in Australia, every time there is another atrocity that is made public, relating to what ISIL and ISIS is doing up in Iraq, the New Zealand public is probably similar to Australian public, I would imagine, and thinking someone's got to do something about this. This can't continue on. But it's the politics around it that is causing great concern, Peter. So that has been big news here in New Zealand.
That's sort of a situation you want some sort of strong leadership and some decisive things, not the dithering that John Key seems to be doing, but with just simple things like the numbers.
Yes, and there's also on the Fairfax website stuff. Andrea Vance, who's a significant political journalist here in New Zealand. She's from Ireland herself. It's where she came from. But she wrote a piece that is actually highly critical of the British coming down here and making a big play that New Zealand is in the family, if you like. Like Hammond, the British Foreign Secretary, a direct quote here, he says, frankly, we've got used to New Zealand being there alongside us, alongside the US, the UK, Australia, as part of the family. Now, Andrea Vance makes the point that it's all very well to play the family card, but when New Zealanders, like Australians, arrive at Heathrow, there isn't the family approach when we're seeking permanent visas to work in the United Kingdom. And so, she's saying it's all very well to say we're in the family when you're planning on going to war, but let's get things right here.
Yeah, make it even.
And make it an even playing field. Yeah. And I guess that goes for other ways. I mean, English subjects can come to New Zealand easy enough, but I think it's quite difficult going into Australia in different ways at the border for English things. So really, I suppose, that needs sorting out. But also, to be fair to the British, John Key was up in Britain only a week ago, and just over a week ago, and he was saying a similar thing, saying, well, New Zealand will have to come to the party on this, and many are saying rightfully so. I'm not criticising that part of it on behalf of large groups, but he is saying it's the price of being in the club with the United States, Britain, Australia and Canada, meaning the Five Eyes spy fraternity. So, there's a lot of this, and others are saying, hey, come on, if you're going to be debating the reasons for going to war, being in the club is not one of them.
Yes, yeah. Indeed.
So Tony Abbott's not the only one that's getting criticism for his rhetoric and his defense.
Oh, he's had a bad week, that's for sure, poor Tony Abbott.
Yeah, I saw the front page on FiveAA's website. You can see Abbott looking for another week ahead. That's going to be a problem by the look of it.
Yeah, he's not too well. Anyway, we'll have to see what happens there. So we're just going to have a quick break and we'll be right back with you with the more big day, your National Day coming up. So we'll find out more about that in a moment. Selwyn Manning's with us from livenews.co.nz.
5AA Breakfast.
The system is skewed so far in favour of negligent parents rather than the poor kids who are in the non-care of these troubled parents, which is best shown by that appalling revelation that Families SA helped draw up a so-called drug plan for Ashley Polkinghorne so that she could happily get off her face or somebody looked after her kid.
David Penberthy, Mark Aston and Jane Riley for breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6 on 1395 Adelaide's 5AA.
Imagine living in a stunning Glenelg retirement apartment for 2 years without paying any fees. Right now, you can move into a 1, 2 or 3 bedroom apartment at Glenelg Bay Waters Retirement Village today and not pay any fees for 24 months. And Glenelg Bay Waters has got it all. Only 100 metres from the beach, tram, shopping and restaurants. Now that's a great location. Find out more about Glenelg Bay Waters by calling 1300 796 311. Conditions apply.
Of Ustream producer.
Live the stylish life with U-Blinds at 50% off. Yep, right now, get 50% off plantation shutters and roller blinds. 50% off. Now that will help brighten up your life. It's U-Blinds 50% summer clearance. For a free measure and quote, just visit ublinds.com.au or drop into our showroom on Goodwood Road, Goodwood.
U-Blinds Australia.
Been dreaming about a new modern kitchen? Soft close drawers, granite bench tops, a splashback, new handles? It's not as expensive as you think. Rather than buy a completely new kitchen, Dream Doors can transform your old one with an exciting facelift. Say goodbye to drawers that jam, peeling doors and old appliances. Create a brand new look and feel with no compromise on quality, choice and design. Your dream kitchen for a whole lot less. Check out dreamdoors.com.au or call 1-800-DREAM-DOORS for a no obligation quote.
There's a place on Churchill Road, Kilburn that's really giving amazing value to South Australians. No, it's not the new wholesale warehouse. It's the Albion Hotel just opposite. The Albion has all-day dining from 11:30 till 8:30 and fantastic lunch specials from just $9.90. Why not enjoy a meal and a drink outside in our main central courtyard? Best of all, you don't need to be a member to get great value every day. For real value, check out the Albion Hotel, Churchill Road, Kilburn, opposite the new Costco, part of the Barreau Hotel Group.
Peter Godfrey, talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
And we're casting a mind across the ditch to New Zealand at the moment. So we're Manning from livenews.co.nz with us now. Selwyn, tomorrow, Friday, your national holiday, Waitangi Day. That's how you pronounce it. I hope I got that pronunciation correct.
Yep.
Terrible if I did. Fairly significant, commemorating the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi back in 1840. So give us the background on this.
Yeah, it was the treaty was signed between the British Crown, its representatives here in New Zealand, and the representatives of around 500 Maori chiefs here. The Waitangi is based in the Bay of Islands, right up the north part of North Island of New Zealand, and very much a tourist spot as well, Peter. But Waitangi is a beautiful place. That aside, the Treaty of Waitangi, like you said, signed in 1840, it remains that foundation document upon which the Dominion of New Zealand was formed later on after that 1840. Now, the Encyclopedia of New Zealand, it records how, it's an interesting little backstory to this, how many of the Maori chiefs were concerned that about the British motive, British Crown's motives when they were looking at the treaty. It was translated into Maori from English, and the translations are quite close, but they're not exact, and that has led, in many cases, to extreme differences in how it can be interpreted. Right back from when it was signed, so this debate was going on, and that debate occurred on the 5th of February, which is, like today's date, obviously, and right through to the 6th of February. It eventually saw only 40 chiefs sign the document, sign the Treaty of Waitangi. Now, the encyclopedia records, and I quote here, reasons why chiefs signed the treaty, so those that did sign it, included wanting to having controls on sales of Maori land to Europeans and also controls on European settlers. So there was nothing really governing, or no laws in place up until 1840 that really mapped out, the code of behaviour, the expectations, the laws of the land.
Producer.
And so many of the Māori chiefs saw that this treaty was a way of addressing that. They also wanted trade with Europeans and believed that the new relationship with Britain would stop fighting between the tribes. So that's the quote from the encyclopedia. The encyclopedia also said those who didn't sign the treaty, those that were opposed to it, they were concerned, this is the Maori chiefs here, they were concerned they would lose their independence and power and wanted to settle their own disputes. Some chiefs never had the opportunity to sign it, as it was not taken to all the regions of New Zealand. So only those that could get up to Waitangi, basically, were able to really get at the crux of the debate, Peter. And now that's the backstory. There's been all sorts of problems that have eventuated from that. Now, the significant part that most people agree on is that the treaty assured all Maori people the same rights as British subjects.
Yeah.
And so that was the basis of it. But there's all sorts of things in there, and the interpretations relating to Maori believing that they were signing that part, but not signing away their own ability for sovereignty, for governing their own affairs, etc., etc. So like a dual type of governed land, if you like.
Yeah.
But despite those efforts, Peter, to make a bicultural Pacific state, founded on that. I'm starting to look like I'm doing a speech, but one nation, two peoples was the ethos there. But right through from that, there has been problems like from 1840 onwards, right through to the mid-20th century. Maori land was often confiscated by the Crown illegally, and Maori found themselves estranged from political and economic power. They became, as a race, extremely impoverished compared to others that settled here. And that's the backdrop of much grievance today. And successive governments, going back probably significantly to the 1990s onwards, national parties in government, as well as Labour-led government, have made concerted efforts to address those grievances and to find settlement through the courts and through government paying settlement money to iwi, that's the tribes, on a tribe-by-tribe basis. Now, that, on Waitangi Day, all of this kind of stuff is always debated up at Waitangi. There's a big, huge gathering of Maori leaders, Maori people, New Zealand citizens, government representatives, political party representatives, everybody that you could think of would represent a group ends up at Waitangi to debate such issues, and it's really a litmus test on the state of New Zealand, the state of the nation kind of thing, Peter, and it's often very, very, very aggressive.
Okay. Interesting, sort of comparing the sort of that history, the Maori history, and with European settlement there, and then our own history here with European settlement and Indigenous Australians. So many parallels, but so many differences. I mean, first and foremost, I guess being that treaty, whether it was the right thing or not, but having that sign, which I guess wasn't here for the Indigenous Australians. So
it's often pointed out on this side of the ditch that that's the case. That, even those in the most right-wing side of New Zealand politics will often say, well, Maori people had a better deal than others did. And you only have to look across the ditch to Australia to see how hard it was for the Aboriginal people, et cetera, et cetera. And that's often the treaty is cited as the reasons why there was a difference there. And it is the foundation document in which is referred to so often still, and both in law but also in contemporary New Zealand kind of debate. So, you may or may not see reference in the news to Waitangi Day this year, but it's expected that it's going to be an aggressive meeting up there. The Prime Minister, John Key, made a few gaffes last year and relating to race relations, and he is expected to be under fire. Even in recent years, the Māori Party co-leader, the former one, Peter Sharples, he's just left the position, left Parliament. And now, in his valedictory speech, he said that it was a gruelling experience being in the role of protecting the Prime Minister up in Waitangi, and he said, including being knocked to the ground during jostling with the Prime Minister in 2009. He says, I must be your most loyal minister. He says, I would have taken a bullet for you that day. So that's how, that's rhetorical, obviously, but that's how, really heightened it can be up there, the clashes can be. Helen Clark was pushed out of being, as she was trying to enter one of the marae when she was Prime Minister. She refused to go back for the rest of the term of her Prime Ministership. But Waitangi Day, big news here in New Zealand.
Big news indeed. So that's all tomorrow. Well,
all tomorrow.
Terrific. All right, Selwyn, well, have do you wish greetings on that? Happy Waitangi Day? Is that appropriate for those sorts of things? We'll
if the nation gets its act together and we all honour the treaty as it said, then it would be a fantastic national day where everyone can actually enjoy it, one of those special things.
Yeah, well, all the best with it, Selwyn. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.
Okay, Peter.
All the best. Bye-bye. Selwyn Manning in New Zealand, livenews.co.nz for more. Coming up to 5:30, and Stone coming up in just a sec with our news. And love you to join in the conversation straight after the news, whatever's on your mind. 8223 0000.
This is Adelaide's FiveAA.
Fine and 31 today. It's 5:30. I'm Anne Stone. Journalist Peter Gresta has finally arrived back in Australia after his ordeal in Egypt. Graham Cairns reports from Brisbane Airport.
Gresta and two of his Al Jazeera colleagues were jailed in